before the Europeans. So what do you do with the heads in Mexico that you find at San Lorenzo?
A little bit of a glitch beginning off the show, but that's all right. We still got world politics, and we'll see what's going on in the world. And I'll bring in Rick Rosner and see what he's got happening in his world. There's a lot of things that are taking place, and a lot of people are paying attention to a number of things that are going on in the world, including the celebration of America's 250th. I know that some people will be doing celebrations a day early or maybe even 2 days early because I think I heard about some celebrations here in North Carolina that were taking place today on July 2nd. But yeah, some people tried to jump the gun. And of course, we've got America 250 celebration that's going on up in DC. And I understand from Rick that the attendance is not what the president would like and all along those lines. But I think his people are saying this is a wonderful event and they're getting all kinds of great attendance and all along those lines. And of course, we've got a number of elections taking place around the world, not just the midterms here in the U.S., but also things taking place in other parts of the globe. I understand that a couple of days ago, Peru elected a right-wing leader and everything like that. And I think there were a couple of other countries that were having elections as well. And of course, a lot of people are paying attention to what's going on in the World Cup because that is a major international news story and everything like that. And apparently, an Olympian was indicted after arrest at the Washington reflecting pool. So, former Olympian faces felony charges over alleged reflecting pool vandalism. So, this is the canoeist that has been in the news, but I guess they're going to be facing charges. And of course, the heat is a big time news item because there's a heat advisory remaining in effect until 8 p.m. here in Durham, North Carolina. And I know that they were talking about getting to like 105 or something like that in terms of the temperature, and it's supposed to be that way for the next few days. So we're in the middle of a heat wave, and I think other parts of the world are in the middle of a heat wave as well, even though where Rick is in California, they might not be having as much of the heat wave. But I'm going to find out from Rick if it's hot there, because it is definitely hot here.
No, LA is the only nice place in America right now. It's very nice. It's in the 70s.
Well, I might have to come and visit you then, because I know that Dr. Anthony, who does our show, the All Around show, she's actually visiting her family in the Louisiana area. And it's scorching in Louisiana, of course, but Louisiana is oftentimes scorching, as I think she's got family in
Louisiana is nasty because it's super humid. It's swampy.
It's definitely swampy and everything like that. Man who sold land for Kushner-backed Albania development is being probed. So there's protests over the Kushner-linked protest, and it turned violent in Albania.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, the Albanians don't like carpetbaggers, Trump family carpetbaggers coming in and making hundreds of millions developing land they didn't want to turn over. So in my mind, there are 3 or 4 big stories. Most of them nonsense. One is the big serious story is our economy is sucky right now. The jobs report came out over the past year. The U.S. has only added 42,000 jobs a month. Trump is the worst jobs president since Herbert Hoover in the 1920s and 30s. And it's not all Trump's fault. AI is eating up a ton of jobs. And paradoxically, AI eating all those jobs is causing the stock market to continue to rise because people like owning companies where you don't have to pay as many employees. It saves. Right. So it's not that the economy is thriving with the evidence being Wall Street. It's that the economy is hurting. So 42,000 jobs a month on average, if you can trust the numbers, which they tend to get revised downward, which is less than 1/4 of the average number of jobs added per month.
Yeah, very good. I got a question for you about the job count because, as you know, I work for a couple of companies, not just Pod TV, but also the cultural center that you sometimes see me doing things at when I'm doing reporting from there. But I also work for a measurement company. It's a testing company, and I know that the vast majority of our job is done from home. So I'm kind of curious as to how much of that they can actually truly document. Because I mean, I try to be very diligent in my work when I'm doing work for them, and to be fair and to do the work that I'm supposed to be doing. But I know that there are people that are, because I'm even a team leader on some of those assignments, that there are people that are, they might be twiddling their thumbs for all I know. They might not even actually be doing the work because that is at home work. So a lot of people, they might
when
be.
I work from home, I don't work as hard.
Right.
I will take a nap. I will touch myself in a certain way.
Right.
I can't do that in the office.
You cannot do that in the office, and people might do that. They might be doing side things, like they might even be taking a break to have relationships while the computers are on and everything like that. Because there's not really a way, unless there are cameras in the office people have in the people's houses, to document what they're doing. They might even be doing house cleaning while they're supposed to be doing work. So it's hard to gauge what people are doing if they are working from home, and there's a lot of at-home work these days.
Sure, it's like I think we've all talked to customer service people where you can tell they're at home. There's a dog barking in the background. Right. There's a baby. They're doing all sorts of stuff. Now, I don't mind that because that makes me feel sympathy for the customer service person. Right. Are they doing a worse job working from home with a baby or a dog? I don't think so. I blame the company for not hiring enough customer service people and, putting in these AI systems that make it, you have to yell at it for like 5 minutes before it turns you over to a person.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because earlier today, but actually right before we started the World Edition, I was on TikTok listening to a couple of TikTok people, and one of the TikTok person was on their lunch break, so they were doing their TikTok feed, and I could hear kids in the background. So I wasn't sure if it was their personal kids or it was kids from their job. And I asked them, and it turns out that they were a teacher. So they had an hour break as a teacher that they wanted to get away from the kids. So they were taking that hour break to have some time on TikTok and some of their social media friends and everything along those lines. And this is my first time meeting this particular young lady. I did not find out. I think she was in New York City, right? She was in New York City, or definitely in the state of New York, but I think it was New York City. So, those kids can be a little bit aggravating. As one that has got family members that have been in the teaching field, I know that kids can be aggravating. So they decided to take that hour-long break to have lunch, but also to socialize and all.
I mean, the sympathy. I think it's as I said, I feel sympathy for people working from home, and it reminds me of a situation that surprised me. I used to have a coworker who liked strip joints, and several times for special occasions, the party would be held at a strip joint, and you would think that the standard strip joint pitch, where they wanted to get you to pay for a lap dance, is I'm so hot, I'm a college student, blah, 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 blah. But often, like the pitch was, I'm in dire circumstances, right. that get a lap dance from me because my life is kind of sad. I remember one lady made her pitch showing where she'd been stabbed in her stomach 4 times.
But isn't that the same pitch that they use in catfishing? Because I know that I have been victimized, because I sometimes am a sucker for a good story and everything like that, and they will call people that might be a little bit older and a little bit more susceptible, and they'll give a sob story about how much they either love you or how much they are in the crisis because their parents or whoever is in the hospital, or a number of other things. So
well, that's the Russian girlfriend scam.
Right.
Like our kid is in England, and sometimes we will send her money for something, and you do a wire transfer, which is a big pain in the ass for moving money from one country to another. And they ask you, are you, sending money to a Russian girlfriend? Because that's always a scam.
They ask you that, and there are a couple of agencies that are good for giving money, like gaming sources. I think one is called G2G, another is called Dundle, and a couple of other ones. But if you go to the websites, they will tell you that it could be a scam, and they'll ask you, "Are you sure that this is not a scam?" So they will actually ask you
Yeah,
to double check to make sure that you're not sending money off to like somebody in Nigeria or somebody in Russia, as you just
but
said.
this is a huge in the world where normal jobs are getting eaten by AI. Uh, Selling yourself in one way or another is a huge growing industry. I just read a statistic that between 10 and 14% of young American women between 18 and 24 years old are putting up pictures of themselves and other material on OnlyFans,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it's not a good job, not because you're putting up nudie pictures, but because the vast majority of people on OnlyFans are making less than $100 a month.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to get back to another serious news.
Okay.
This isn't serious as well, but back in the days, you would watch the spy movies. I've actually got the TV in the background, and I think it might be one of the crime series. It might be CSI Miami because I was watching CSI New York earlier. But a lot of those shows, particularly like the James Bond movies, you would see or hear, and even back in the days of Al Capone and stuff like that, there would be a bombing, and usually the bombing would take place at a cafe. I mean, there's a whole kind of meme that if you're going to a restaurant, be sure that you are able to see the front door so that if you have to make a quick exit, you can make a
Yeah,
quick
sit with your mafia style. You sit
mafia
with your
style. And I
back to the
saw that there
wall.
was right. I saw stories like that. Damascus is not the safest city, so I don't know why you'd be going to a cafe in Damascus in the first place. But there was an explosive device that went off earlier today in a Damascus cafe, and apparently, sad news, it did kill 6 people. And some people are asking what's behind the deadly bombing of a crowded Damascus cafe. So apparently, it's a very crowded cafe and everything like that. And this is in the country of Syria.
Yeah, well, see, you have to eat, but if you're going there, you don't want to sit next to a window. I mean, this was what was frustrating. One of the things frustrating about the last episode of The Sopranos,
Uh-huh.
Tony Soprano walks in, meets his family in a family restaurant, sits down. They've already ordered. He sits down, starts eating onion rings. Tony Soprano is not who's involved in organized crime is not sitting with his back to the wall, and which is like, come on, you practice. Like he should have been more careful. The episode ends suddenly. We don't know what happened to Tony Soprano, but we do know he wasn't being careful. So
He wasn't
okay,
being
so
careful.
three bits of nonsense news in the
Yeah,
not serious.
before we get to the nonsense news, I do want to get from one of the serious political news. Apparently, there's this talks going on between the U.S. and Iran. They're holding separate meetings in Qatar and agreeing to continue discussion. So, are we ever going to get some actual agreements? Because the talks were paused for the slain Ayatollah's funeral after Trump and the mediators are claiming progress. So, and I also heard that there's a new passport that is out there with Trump's picture on it, because Trump does look to put his picture on it. And there's also like a warning about, come to America, but if you're coming to America, be
good.
cautious.
Welcome, but be good. And it's not a photo of Trump. It's a very nice looking engraving. When you get money and stuff, it's not a portrait. It's kind of this, and so anyway.
Coming back to the nonsense news, and by the way,
all right. Well, okay. So in nonsense news, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are getting married. There's a big weekend celebration that involves Madison Square Garden, which is like, it's a whole freaking arena that holds 30,000 people. I don't think they'll put 30,000 people in there, but that's a big venue, unless it's a fake out and they're actually holding it someplace else. I don't know. That's thing one. Thing two is the World Cup, which is a big deal, but isn't a serious thing. Thing three is America's 250th birthday, and how we should be excited, but the country is so angsty right now that we're maybe a little less. We were certainly less excited than we were for the bicentennial, the 200th anniversary.
I agree with you on that. I want to come back to the Madison Square Garden wedding and everything like that. As you may know or you may not know, the Heritage Center is a venue. It's a rental venue, and some people in the past have rented it for parties and for weddings. I think that we put our limitations on certain things that we don't want to do that we used to do just because they were a hassle to organize and everything like that. But I do know that we still are a venue that people can use for events and stuff like that. And I know people have used it for films, they've used it for weddings, they've used it for repasts. But I was just going to come back to your own feelings of big weddings. Like, I've not been to any super duper weddings, like a big, I mean, I've been to weddings, but I've never been to like a big super duper wedding that had hundreds or thousands of people that I can recall or everything like that. But I was just wondering, as one that has got friends in the Hollywood field, what is
I went to one celebrity wedding, and I get nervous around celebrity interacting with celebrities is fraught with a potential embarrassment. So I mean, they say just treat celebrities like they're a normal person, and I try to do that, and so I still am pretty freaking awkward. And I remember at the celebrity wedding, there were moments where I felt weird. Like, I like sneaking off to go to the gym. I have OCD about going to the gym. And I snuck away from the wedding to go do some sets. I mean, not the actual ceremony, but the wedding weekend. And it was just me in there and a famously kind of skittish celebrity. And it was weird for the few minutes I was in there, because she's in there and looking kind of her standard skittish way, and then there's this rando who comes in there and does like 10 quick sets, because that's my deal, a bunch of sets in and out. And I felt like I wanted to say, look, I'm sorry, I'm just a crazy person who needs to work out like 8 times a day. I'm not, but that would have just freaked her out more. So anyway, that made me feel weird, because I felt like I was making her feel a little weird. And then, I'm walking with my wife. She was in a boot. She had ankle surgery. My wife's hobbling along. I'm walking with her to the bathroom, and I wanted to compliment my wife, and I go, you look you look as good, except for your boot, as a lot of the celebrity wives at this wedding.
Right.
And then I look around, and there's a huge celebrity like that I hadn't noticed, like within earshot of us. And then I felt bad, because I felt like, well, I hope that guy doesn't think that I was dissing his wife. I mean, there's no reason that it should have been a diss of his wife.
Well, to your point and everything like that, I have attended. I think I might have missed one, if I missed that, and I can't remember if I missed it or not. But for decades, there's been the International Black Theater Festival. It used to be called the National Black Theater Festival, and Larry Leon Hamlin founded it some 30 years ago, and then he passed away, and his wife also has passed and everything. But they've continued the legacy of it going on. They call it Holy Ground, Black Holy Ground, and there's a number of other nicknames they get it. But a lot of celebrities have been there, including some that have gone on into the ancestors' grounds. Like Mickey Grant used to be a regular, the Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope woman, that almost treated me like I was a child of hers, or at least a nephew. It's like we actually bonded, would hang out together, or at least talk together. And definitely Ruben Ossie used to be there. I think he's still around. Antonio Fargas would be around, and a number of other celebrities, including the now late the one from Cosby Show that just passed not that long ago.
Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Malcolm Jamal Warner. He would come by, and there'd be others that'd be involved, and a number of them are coming. I think Felicia Rashad might be honored this year and everything. And to your point, a lot of the venues were theaters, like on college campuses, and even in just like set aside theater locations, meaning that they're not connected to a university and all along those lines. And there would also be a lot of hanging out parties and stuff at the host hotels. And I do remember hanging out with Petrie Bird, the bailiff from Judge Judy, and actually enjoying hanging out with him and hanging out with others as well. And most of the time, most of the celebrities just wanted you to treat them like normal people. They didn't want you to have a whole head case about the fact that they were there. Even John Amos of Good Times would used to be around drumming and a number of other things. And some of the professional drummers teased him because they were like, yeah, you're a good drummer, but, maybe you're not as good as some of these folks. And then he would sometimes, because he's a star, want to jump into the drumming circle, even though he might not be the best drummer and everything like that. So there was a lot of folks that were engaged in the conversation, but for the most part, they were like, "Don't treat us as we're superstars or anything like that. Just treat us like normal people." And I think that's what most people should do when they run across celebrities.
True.
Yeah. But just really quickly on some sadder news, and I know we had the monk walk. I don't know if you went to it, but I did have friends that went to it when they came through this area. But apparently there was, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, there was 9 monks that were killed after an 11-year-old driver, which actually we don't really have people driving at 11 in this country, but an 11-year-old driver collided with a procession in Thailand as he was driving his pickup truck into a procession of Thai monks and apparently killed 9. So I don't think that he was doing it intentionally, but he killed 9 and injured 13 others as well. But most countries, I think the age you can start getting your learner's permit is like around 15 or 14, because I think you get license around 15.
But yeah, if you have to reach for the pedals, you can easily, even as an adult, I will, sometimes my foot will slip off the gas pedal and hit the brake pedal, and because I have big feet but yeah, a little kid who's got to reach around, and we, every couple of years you'll hear about somebody in their 80s or 90s who thinks they can still drive, and they drive into a farmer's market and they confuse the gas and the brake, and
Yeah. Did Spain win the game? When I checked, they were up 2-0. So I know that was a game that definitely Sasha earlier thought would be not much of a game and that they would win handily. And I think when I looked at the score, it was 2-0. It did look like Spain was winning handily, and there's 2 more games.
Yeah, let's see. All right. So right now, Spain. Oh, but no, Spain is over. They won 3-0.
They won 3-0. So they scored another goal after I watched it.
Yeah, and we got Portugal. Croatia starts in like an hour and 15 minutes.
And then Algeria, who everybody thinks is the odds-on favorite to win, is playing later today as well. I think
Algeria is. So they're not just in the news for having an island stolen from them by Jared Kushner.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. That's Albania.
That's Albania.
Totally different country. But Trump made that same mistake. He said he stopped a war between Algeria and some other country, and he meant Albania. And anyway, I didn't know they were the odds-on favorite. Anyway.
That's what Tasha said. I think it's going to be, which actually could be interesting since we are the World Politics Show. It could be a battle between a country and its former colony, because I think that what Tasha is predicting, what I've heard other people's predicting, is that it'll be France against Algeria. And if I remember correctly, Algeria is a former French colony.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting situation.
So that could be an interesting dynamic if it's them against their former colony. Of course, we've not had colonies in a while, but it'll be interesting if that is the case or not the case. Any other interesting things happening in the political landscape and everything like that?
No, I'm clicking around a little bit. The AP has reconstructed what happened with on the first day of the war. The U.S. blew up a school, killing like 160 people, most of them little schoolgirls.
AI is always in the news, and I'm going to bring it up just because I get tired of these people hitting us and everything like that. But we are always getting these lovely little messages where there are people telling us that they are real humans, not bots, and that they can definitely help us get views and everything along those lines. But I love this commercial says real humans, not bots, for dirt cheap. So they basically want to sell us the ability to buy viewers, because a lot of times they will do that in an attempt to get folks to buy viewers and everything like that. And that was
I used to do that when Twitter was a good place to be, and you could buy 5,000 bot followers for $1. So I bought millions of fake followers.
You bought millions of fake followers, and did they ever follow you anywhere or anything along those lines? And is it just
no?
Me,
but like, so Twitter went public for a while, which is a tragedy, because when it went public, that let eventually Elon Musk get in there and make an offer and buy it. Well, he's ruined the place. But when they went public, they needed to clean up the fake followers, because so that people would trust the numbers, because you can't have a site being publicly traded that's built on bullshit numbers. So I was in the top 5 people worldwide who lost in the number of followers lost. They got rid of something like 4 million of my followers.
Just really quickly, and I got to get ready to get to the other show shortly, so I'm going to make this good for a second. But just really quickly, you another one that, like me, will go on to TikTok. I know that there was a time that Kim was really big into it. I think she's frustrated with the algorithm of TikTok now, but I still find it interesting conversations like the young teacher and even some musical people on TikTok and a number of other things. TikTok can actually be fun to join, but I just wondering, are you a TikTok person? Because like I said, that was right before the show.
I've only been on TikTok a few times.
Okay.
And I would guess that if I went on TikTok for any significant length of time, my computer, I'm on 2 computers, one here, one over here, but the computer I use mainly to look at stuff, it would probably crash the computer after a few minutes because there's so little storage on my old computer that streaming continuously would probably just shut it down.
Yeah, he'll probably get mad at you and say, like, I'm tired of this whole conversation, so I will get off and get rid of the conversation with TikTok and everything like that. What's Trump's popularity? Because I know he's all excited about the 4th of July. He had that horrible event with the folks, but how is he doing overall, and is he going to get impeached after the midterms?
So almost certainly, I bet $1 he will. I don't bet much money, but I will bet a little bit. His approval got down to the lowest point of both presidencies, I believe. Well, maybe it got a little lower after he kind of caused January 6th, but it reached a low point at the end of May, and then since then has crept up a very tiny bit, like not quite 1%, and which is weird because he's had a terrible month, but it just shows how bulletproof he is to his followers. Right now, he's at 39% approval, which is low for a president, but I think is much higher than he deserves given how disastrously he's doing. He lost a whole war that he didn't have to get into.
And by the way, this is some fun facts that you can go with, and we can talk more about it on World Edition tomorrow. But apparently there's some interesting facts about the presidency, because apparently George Washington was not the first president. I did read that there were a couple of presidents before him that only had the job for a while. There was this notion of having the United States of the Earth run by a 3-person presidency, and they're saying there were 5 constitutional amendments that could have reshaped America. So many things have changed in the 250 years since the United States was founded, but one thing that hasn't changed that much is our Constitution. In the 238 years since it was ratified, Congress has seen nearly 12,000 proposed amendments, according to the Senate's records. Most never made it far. So while Congress and the states have the power to change the Constitution through the amendment process, it rarely happens. An amendment must be proposed by 2/3 of the House.
And it can't happen now because we are so politically divided.
And one of the things that they talked about was the United States of the Earth. In 1893, first term U.S. House Representative Lucas Miller of Wisconsin introduced a total of 46 bills in just one day. One proposal was to change the country's name from the United States of America to the United States of the Earth. So he was going to have that. And then there was while the nation was on the brink of civil war in 1860, Representative John William Knoll of Missouri proposed abolishing the presidency and replacing it with a 3-person executive council. So we could have had a 3-person presidency. And in 1933, one of the bleakest years of the Great Depression, Representative Wesley Lloyd of Washington proposed that the Congress be given the authority to place a limit on Americans' personal wealth, setting the limit at $1 million, worth over $25 million today. So there was a notion of having that, and Americans vote for the U.S. president not by direct popular vote, but through the Electoral College. And on election day, I guess there was an attempt to even get rid of that as well. But there was a couple of laws. Maybe we could have been the United States of the Earth.
I don't know. I think of things that could have happened differently. Lincoln's assassination was disastrous because the guy who replaced him was a terrible a-hole who was on the South side in the Civil War. He pardoned a ton of most of the Confederates who rebelled against Johnson, pardoned them. So yeah, a lot of people think about what would have happened if Lincoln hadn't been shot. I think about what would have happened if, I don't think it could have happened, but what if Thomas Jefferson married Sally Hemings, the slave he was sleeping with and had kids with? Could that have changed the tone of America? I don't know. What I do know is I got to go. I've got an assignment that I still have to finish up. So if it's okay, I'm going to check out right now. And thank you, everybody.
Yeah. All right, we're getting ready to go over there and wrap up the show, everything like that. So that was an interesting conversation, and it was a fun conversation with Rick. And we're going to get on out of here.